All right, so we are all set up in Photoshop. And what we're going to be working on today is combining three different elements or images into one final product. So, what I have here set up in my first tab, because I have three tabs open right now, is this is going to be my final tableau or my final canvas, whatever you'd like to call it. And I have it set up under parameters already. So I need to add stuff to this, right? This is pretty boring. All I see is my transparent background. I do have my layer 1 labeled over here. That's letting me know where this is set up. So I'm going to come over here. This is going to be my first image. Now this is going to be my background image. So there's a couple of different things that I can do here. I can either hit Command A to select the image, or I can come up here to the menu and select all, whichever one's easier for you. I'm going to copy it, so I can come over to edit, copy, or again, that's Command C on your keyboard. I'm using a Mac, so if you're using Windows, your commands may be different. Your keyboard shortcuts, rather, may be different. I'm not sure. I use Windows for everything except Photoshop. So I'm switching over. These are my JPEGs. So these are my source images that I'm using. So I'm coming from here. This is going to be my background image. I just selected it. It's copied, right? Did I copy it? I'll copy it again. And I'm coming over here. This is my cartoon. So this is my final thing. And I'm just going to come up to edit and paste or Command V. Now we can tell, like, I wanted this to be my background. And that is not going to fill up my page. So one thing that you can look is I can tell right here that I can resize this because of how these little squares here are letting me know that these are drag corners. If that's not there, you'll notice up in the top here, there's the show transform controls. If this isn't checked, I can't resize this image. The only thing I can do is grab it. So I want to make sure that that's checked, and this allows me now to resize it. Again, take a look over on your left at your toolbar menu. This is my move tool or my select tool. I'm over here on my layer grid now. I'm going to relabel this as bomb. And this just allows me to know what layer I'm actually working on at which time. For this particular composition, I'm not going to have that many layers going on, but some of your images can get up to be 15, 20, 25, 30 layers deep. So to have that labeling of what's what and where you're at makes it a lot easier to keep yourself organized. Or don't do that and fail at it. It's up to you. So I need to resize this. So if I just grab this corner and make it bigger, you guys can see that that image is getting warped, right? Like that's not looking right. That's not how this should be. So I actually don't want to do that. If I hit, like, this is not the same image as this is. It's now a warped version of that, right? So if I come back over here, I'm just going to select this. I'm going to select this image, and I'm just going to get rid of it because that was no good. So I'm going to come back to this one. I'm going to make sure I still got this copied. I'm going to paste it back in here. So now the proper way to resize something when you're just doing it with the drag control to transform is when I click on this corner, I'm holding down the shift key. And what this does is you can see already that this is resizing my image for me without changing the initial ratio of it. Now, depending on your computer speed, things like that, and size of the original JPEG image, it's going to depend on if those pixels get fixed or not. So once I have it the size that I would like it, I'm just going to hit enter. Okay, so now this is the size. And I'm still like, maybe I want to go a little bit bigger. And I don't have to keep it on the size of my background, right? I can go much larger. Like, I want this explosion to be the main focus. So I'm going to pull this out. Right, and that's it. So if I do Command minus, that's going to pull out so I can see that this border here is the total size of this image. But what I'm looking at right here is the actual size of my file that I'm working in. So pretty much I don't need to worry about any of this. The only thing that this is relevant for is if I wanted to drag this. It's still there. So I can get this a little bit better centered. I can play with it a little bit more. But that's as good as I want it. And I really want that explosion to be prevalent. I want that to be my background. Okay. So this is my bomb. This is my background layer. Your background layer is just like your base layer that you don't whenever you add things to it. So if I wanted to fill this in with a color, if I wanted to do anything like that, that would be this layer right here. And this image, however, is going to sit on top of that. So it's not really relevant. This little eyeball right here allows me to either look at this layer or to not look at it. So if I click on this, it's gone. If I click back, it's back. So I have my explosion set up. Now I'm going to think about my composition, right? So this is going to be the next image that I've added. And what I've done here is I've already selected any of the background imagery that I wanted to get away from. Because what I really want to focus on here is this facial expression and this finger, right? Because that's like a pretty epic thing. So I'm going to come up to select all. It's going to take my entire JPEG, right? Because we're working in a JPEG here, and I'm coming back over to my cartoon. Now, if you would like, as you start to get working on more complicated things, you can always clear out these JPEGs that you've already done. I usually don't because sometimes I come back and use them again, or I mess something up or whatever. So I'm going to paste this in, and I want to make sure I mess that one up, right? So whenever I'm on, whatever layer I'm on, whenever I paste, that's what layer it's going to paste on top of. So since I had background selected instead of bomb, it pasted it in between those two. So I just dragged that layer up to move it to the front. And as you can see, I can't really see what's going on here. So I need to get my select tool, and I'm going to need to resize this to fit in my file. Now when I'm working from something that's that large down, this doesn't really give me a good look at what I'm looking at. So I do want to pull my image back in a little bit more before I finalize my sizing on it. So I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, right? Because I want to really drive it home that this is like coming from him. So the way that I'm moving this image, by the way, is just by using my arrow keys on my keyboard. I don't always need a drag and drop. And you can see that this has a gray background. This particular image does. That's not super awesome looking, but we're going to fix that in just a minute. So I now have this guy up here, right? When I hit enter, that will finalize my resizing. Now you can have it set up so that it'll always ask you if you do indeed want that, if you want to keep being prompted as to whether you want to commit to that size change or not, or that transfer change or not. So what I did over here is I have my quick selection tool or my magic wand tool. Now for something like this where all I'm doing is getting rid of a gray background, my magic wand tool will work great for that because it's all going to be one color that it's selecting. Okay, so I'm going to just click on whatever I want to get rid of. Again, this works really well when you want to get rid of like solid background colors. If you're trying to get rid of more subtle things, there's other methods that you could use that are probably a little bit better. So that's it. So I just selected all of that gray and I hit delete, and now that gray's gone, so you can see that I now have this image with this implosion happening behind, right, or explosion happening behind. So I can come back up here to select and just select deselect. So this now allows me to move freely about. I'm not worried about messing up this image. And again, I'm going to come over to my layer. Instead of leaving that as layer 1, I'm just going to rename that Trump. All right, so now that I have my background removed, I'm like, you know what? I want this to be a little bit bigger. So I can do that super easy. I'm just going to come up here to my move tool or my select tool, make sure that my show transform controls are still selected. And I'm going to resize that guy. Let's bring it up real big, huge, huge. It's going to be tremendous. All right, let's get it repositioned a little bit, right? Because I'm looking for balance in my composition. So this looks pretty good. Now I'm going to bring in my final image here. Right? We just got a little bit of Hillary happening. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to copy this. I'm coming back over to my final cartoon. And again, I want to make sure that I'm on the correct layer because this is going to paste directly on top of this layer. So if I have this one selected, this is where that image is going to get pasted. So I want this one to be above the Trump. So I'm going to come up to edit and paste. Yo, just kidding. Let's try that again, right? Did I not copy it? I probably didn't copy it. Copy. And then, yeah, there we go. So now we're going to put a little smug Hillary action here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that background. So on this one, since there wasn't a solid gray border going all the way around, as you saw, I had to select that twice on 2 different sides because there wasn't a solid color break on it. Oops. So this is going to be my new image, and I want to make this a little bit bigger. All right, and we're just going to squeeze her down into this corner here. All right, so that's that. Now let's say I want to do something funny, right? I want to add some text here. So I just select the text tool, and this is going to bring out my text box. So I'm free to just start typing whatever I want. All right, so I can't really see that right from my background, but I can select up here, and then this is going to give me my basic word tools. So this will allow me to change the color on my font. It allows me to change my point, what font I use. Stick to that one. And then my color I want to pick is on the inside color, not on the outside. So this is now my text box, and this box is now going to behave like anything else. So if I want to move it, I'm going to select the entire box and drag it. All right. If I want to draw something around this, I have a couple different options on how to do that. I have a paintbrush over here. A couple different paintbrushes that I can use. This is my color selector down here. So let's get that. It's like a green, so this really shows up. I'm going to come in. With this one, I'm going to label this one as Hillary. And that's pretty much it. So I can draw my little speech bubble around here. All right. Get back on my text. Come over to my text editing tool, change that color back.